Looking for a fun little fish to cruise around in the bottom of your tank? Then let's talk corydoras versus loaches. Battle of the bottom dwellers. Hi, my name is Irene with girltalksfish, and this was a really hard video to make because honestly, I love both of them. But also, there are like a ton of species in each of these categories. So I'm gonna try to limit it to CORYS and loaches that can live in a peaceful community tank that's 20 gallons or smaller. Our first category is cost, and for loaches, I came across anything ranging from $3 for a coolie loach all the way to $30 for a panda loach. And then pretty much the same thing for corydoras. It was like $3 for an albino cory, all the way to $30 for a green laser cory. So I'm gonna give them a tie in this category, but I'm sure there are rare species of corydoras that I just haven't come across yet that would be higher in price. For size, it really runs the gamut. You've got the Pygmy corydoras all the way at 1 inch long to the banded Cory Catfish, which is technically not in the corydoras genus, but they get up to 4 inches. I think adults mainly are kind of on average about 2.5 to 3 inches, at least the ones you can get in this hobby easily. And then for loaches, same thing. The Rosy loach is about 1 inch, 1.2 inches long, versus the coolie loach is 4 inches long. So I think, again, size, we're about tied, and we're mainly capped by the size of the tank because I want to stay 20 gallons or below. For appearance, I think we're going to start to really deviate a little bit. So for my particular video constraint of nano tanks, 20 gallons only, there's a lot more species of corydoras that you could put in a 20 gallon versus a lot fewer species of loaches. However, I feel like all the CORYS pretty much look exactly the same, like shape-wise. They all have that classic shape with the armored scales and the barbels. You might get some differentiation from the spots or different stripes or patterns. And then most of them are neutral colored, but you do have like the orange laser cory or the pinkish white albino cory, right? Loaches, fewer in this category, and yet I feel like they look so different. Like the Rosy loach kind of looks like the Pygmy cory. The dwarf chain loach looks like your classic loach with the very long, narrow snout. But then you have like the weird hillstream loach, which is like a miniature stingray, and then the coolie loach, which is a miniature eel. So again, bottom line, appearance is all up to personal preference. I personally like the corydoras appearance, but given that there's so much more variety with loaches, I'm gonna personally give this one to the loaches. But before we go on to the next category, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, CuriosityStream. You guys are going to see me do a few sponsorships this summer as I basically try to get more help for the channel in terms of a new thumbnail artist and a video editor, just so I can continue making great content for you guys without burning out. CuriosityStream is like Netflix for nerds. If you're into documentaries and educational shows on history, science and technology, food, travel, this is the streaming service for you. When I was growing up, one of my favorite pastimes was watching nature shows every Sunday night with my family, which is probably why I love animals and have so many pets today. Anyways, they've got this new show that came out called Doug to the Rescue, where this guy named Doug Thron uses his skills as a drone pilot to rescue wildlife that's been stranded by natural disasters like Hurricane Dorian and the Australian bushfires. So I'm really excited to be able to watch it with my kids and continue that family tradition of bonding over nature shows together. Check it out if you get a chance. I've got a link in the description where you can use code girltalksfish to get all of the CuriosityStream shows for only $14.99 a year. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's talk hardiness. How well are they going to stand up to less than optimal care or a wide range of water parameters? And I would say, caveat, it depends on the species, but both CORYS and loaches seem to have a pretty bulletproof species. Like with the CORYS, you've got the albino, bronze, peppered CORYS seem pretty bulletproof. And then on the loaches, I've had the hillstream, coolie, and dwarf chain loaches, and I've never had any problems with them showing any sign of sickness. They're hardy eaters, very lively fish. So I think for this category, they're about the same, except if you happen to get a wild caught species. In that case, they may be weaker, they may have a harder time adjusting to your water, and then they may come with lots of parasites or other diseases that you need to treat when you get them into your home. The next category is behavior or personality, and I think this is another case where also there's a wide range. So you've got some CORYS and loaches that are really brave and others that are kind of more shy. So with CORYS, you've got the albino CORYS, pygmies, they're always out and about. You always see them kind of up front, ready for more food. And then loaches, they get a reputation for being boisterous and outgoing, versus there are also other species of CORYS that are really shy from what I've seen online. And then coolie loaches, they definitely get a bad rep for being nocturnal and hiding all the time. But I personally didn't have that experience. So I think sometimes a lot of it depends on your tank setup. You know, how much cover do you have? How many other corydoras or loaches of the same species do you have in the same school? And then do you have peaceful tank mates? That's going to kind of determine how often you see them. But if I had to summarize their personalities, CORYS seem more happy-go-lucky, very peaceful, gets along with everyone, versus loaches, a little more high energy, more playful sometimes. I like them both, I can't choose. Their diets are nearly identical. They're not picky eaters. Both of them will eat pretty much anything that sinks to the bottom of the aquarium. So they are great scavengers they won't eat other fish's poop, but they will scavenge around eating any leftover crumbs that happen to get away. Now, one thing to mention is that hillstream loaches do eat algae, as well as dwarf chain loaches are known for hunting down small snails. So I'm gonna have to give them the slight edge when it comes to being a great cleanup crew member. For tank mates, I would say, first off of the bat, CORYS and loaches, they like to be usually in a school of their own species, the more the merrier, except for maybe hillstream loaches. They can get a little bit territorial sometimes, the males. But yeah, really at this size, any kind of peaceful community fish that is not gonna pick on them or eat them would do fine with them, except for dwarf chain loaches. Obviously, they have that problem with eating snails, so keep your snails away from them. Another thing is that sometimes loaches get a bad reputation for being really boisterous, and at this size, I didn't really see my dwarf chain loaches bother anyone, but if you did have a slower fish that you are worried might get outcompeted during mealtime, or maybe might be stressed out by them rushing around the tank doing their little crazy antics, it's just something to be watching out for. So I'm gonna give this one to corydoras because they're just so peaceful and get them along with pretty much anyone, anything, except for maybe the smallest fry that would fit into their mouths. I definitely want to discuss breeding because albino Cory Catfish, they were my first fish ever to breed in my home aquariums. Pretty much you just feed them a lot of good food and they get nice and round and plump, conditioned for breeding, and then there's eggs everywhere, and then you can just collect those eggs and then raise up the fry. However, with loaches, I feel like it's a little bit harder. You have to do more digging to find out how to breed them at home. Some species are easier, and they're all different techniques too. Like some of them have like a mesh you need to use. Some tell you need a rock pile so the fry can escape. So I'm gonna give this category to the Cory Catfish because it just seems like, at least anecdotally, I hear more success stories of people actually breeding them at home. Just like with a mono shrimp and cherry shrimp, we have a tie! It really does come down to personal preference. I would say that corydoras seem to be more popular right now, or at least more available in the hobby, and so it seems like more people are on Team Cory, but the people on Team Loach are very passionate about their love for loaches. So bottom line, if you haven't kept one or the other, make sure you keep both CORYS and loaches at some point in your hobby. Totally worth it. Me personally, I love them both. So you can see videos I've made about Cory Catfish and loaches over here, depending on your preference. Take time to enjoy your aquariums, and I'll see you in the next video.